Is Sony's Game Pass right around the corner? We've got some new PS5 upgrades, a new update for GTA 5, and the rest of the August PS Plus games leaked. One of the cooler things about Xbox Game Pass, besides the fact that you get like 1,000 games for $15 a month, is the fact that they've added in a bunch of extra bonuses, like 6 months of Disney Plus, a few months of Discord Nitro, you know, stuff like that that adds on to the price you're already paying. And Sony's done a couple things with PS Plus, but this is the best thing they've done so far. So right now, if you're a subscriber to PlayStation Plus and you also have a PS5, you can get 6 months of Apple TV Plus absolutely free. And unlike with Xbox Game Pass, this is super simple. You don't even need a code to do it. All you do is turn on your PS5, download the Apple TV Plus app, log in with your Apple ID, and then you'll just get 6 months of Apple TV Plus. Now, I don't know if you guys have checked out the Apple TV Plus selection in a while, and yeah, it did launch a little rocky, but now they've got some really good shows on there, like Ted Lasso. I hear people talk about that all the time. There's 2 seasons of that. You've also got Mythic Quest, which I heard starts a little rocky but just keeps getting better and better. And my personal favorite show on there is M. Night Shyamalan's Servant. It's a bizarre show where not only do you see a woman holding a baby doll that she pretends is real, which is creepy in itself, also Ron Weasley talks in an American accent, and that's even weirder than the creepy baby doll. I promise. You gotta check this show out. There's also a ton of different movies and documentaries on there. Tom Hanks' new movie, and then Tom Holland's new movie Cherry, which I'm pretty sure was directed by the guys who did Avengers Endgame. I'm like 99% sure on that one. That's on there. And also the cool thing about the Apple TV app is if you have a bunch of movies on iTunes, they'll all show up in your library on the app, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, there's this app called Movies Anywhere where you log into it with like Amazon Prime, iTunes, any store like Vudu that you can think of. And if you own one movie on any of those services, Movies Anywhere scans all of your accounts and adds the movies to every other account you log into. So if you want Apple TV to be your hub on your PlayStation for all of your movies, which I highly suggest because their streaming looks really good, you can get Movies Anywhere, 6 months of Apple TV Plus for free, and you'll be good to go. It's rough out here for us next-gen gamers because there just aren't a lot of next-gen games coming out, but thankfully, nearly every game on the planet is getting a patch that makes it run and look a lot better on the PS5, which, like, I am not gonna complain about that because some of the upgrades they've done so far have been absolutely incredible. I mean, have you seen Days Gone running at 4K 60? Because, oh man, that game is so good and more people need to play it. The latest game to get one of these PS5 upgrades is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is the 3rd Tomb Raider intro game. Like, they made 3 games to be the origin story of the Tomb Raider, which is pretty weird in hindsight. I don't know if that was the best call, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider is pretty good. It takes place in the jungle. It feels like the most Tomb Raider-y of the Tomb Raider games, and they made it so it runs at 4K at high frame rates. So that doesn't mean it's necessarily locked at 60 frames per second, but these games have always looked and ran really well, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 60 frames per second 99.9% of the time, and then when it's loading, you get like a 59 FPS frame drop, you know? I gotta say, Square Enix, who is the publisher of Tomb Raider, has done an incredible job upgrading their games. The Avengers game also got a next-gen patch, which while there are too many problems to count with the Avengers game, like they just released their Omega threat level encounter, and I saw that it wasn't even dropping loot, which would be like playing a raid in Destiny, which can take up to like 6 hours and not getting anything at the end of it. So yeah, Avengers has a lot of problems, but that next gen version they released is actually really good. It runs at high resolutions, it runs at high frame rate. It really feels like that game was developed to be a next gen game, and then they just released it on last gen consoles because they needed to recoup the millions and millions of dollars they spent on it, basically like the $150 million that they lost. But that's not here nor there. The point is, if you have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which you can get for like $5 on PS4 at this point, you can pop that PS4 disc into your PS5 and download a nice new patch that makes it run and look amazing. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I took a break from the horror shirts for this awesome new PlayStation inspired one, and I think it's very cool. So if you'd like to get your own, it's on the little shelf down below this video. We've got t-shirts, we've got stickers, we've got a print like on a canvas of this awesome design we had custom made for the PSReady channel. So if you like the design, let me know in the comments, maybe pick up a shirt. I don't know, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, I'm not your dad. GTA 5 is basically the game that will never stop growing. It just got a brand new update called Los Santos Tuners, and I was absolutely shocked to see that this was the biggest launch of a new update for GTA Online that the game has ever had. Yes, this game that came out in 2013 just had its most played expansion ever. That is absolutely insane. So this update is really big and also actually to me really interesting. I've noticed on TikTok over like the past 6 months that people are doing car meets in GTA Online where they show up and they bring their cool cars and they show them off. And it's weird because you see people do that in real life out here, but now they're also doing it in GTA Online. Now the TikToks I see are people finding these car meets and blowing up everyone else's cars with rocket launchers, which I don't think you could do in real life, but it's pretty funny. So yeah, this update added in like a garage, a ton of different cars. It also added a bunch of new music to GTA Online, which like if I was playing since 2013 and this was like the first time I was hearing new music in the game, I would be pretty stoked. And also if you just show up for this event, I don't really know exactly how you sign up for it or whatever, but if you show up, the wording says you will get $250,000 of their GTA Online cash. Now I've heard that that's not actually that much money for this game. Basically the prices of things in the game have ballooned, but if you want 250 grand of GTA money for free, just download this new update and play it. I mean, what do you have to lose? Your car at a car meet. That's what you have to lose. Listen, you guys don't need to hear from me that it's hard to get a PS5, especially if you don't have one, because right now it is still impossible to get a PS5. But the alternative for a lot of people over the past year was to buy a PS4. And unfortunately, that is also getting very hard to do. So if you go and look online right now for a brand new PlayStation 4 at like Target, Amazon, Walmart, all these different stores where you would go to get one, like Best Buy, even them too, they're all sold out there. Really the only place you can get a PS4 Slim right now is through PlayStation Direct. And thankfully they're not scalping you on it. They're just charging you the normal price for that. But if you're one of those people out there who has a PS4, now is the perfect time to sell it. Go on eBay, do whatever you gotta do to sell your PS4. And if you're one of the people who have a PS4 Pro, you should definitely look into selling it because they're going for really good prices thanks to the fact that the PS4 Slim is impossible to find, the PS5 is impossible to find, and the PS4 Pro is impossible to find because it was discontinued when the PS5 came out. Like guys, I'm not making this up. Right now you can go on Amazon.com and I am showing you proof of this, and you can buy a brand new 1TB PS4 Slim for the low price of $460. Isn't that insane? PS4 Slims are selling for more than a retail digital PS5 right now. Now, if you manage to get a PS5 and you have a special edition PS4 laying around, that is something you're definitely also going to want to look into selling if you're not playing it and you don't really plan on giving it away to a family member or something like that. Like if you always plan to sell it, now is the time. If you have that translucent blue 500 million PS4, you can sell that thing for up to $1,000 right now. And I know you didn't pay anywhere close to that for it because it came out pretty close to the end of the PS4 life cycle, and if you paid $1,000 for it, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. And if you're one of the many people who was able to get that red Spider-Man PS4 Pro, which they sold for a really long time, that one is selling for $1,000 on Amazon right now. So if you can figure out how to set up an Amazon seller's account, you should probably throw it up on there, especially if you have a PS5 or you bought it with the intention of selling it anyway. Because yeah, it could go up in price in a few years. I'm sure it might, maybe just because of all the shortages, but I've never seen a PS4 sell for $1,000. Like that's crazy. If you bought that thing for retail price, you're gonna make like $600 on it. That's insane. So yeah, it's just crazy to see this chip shortage that's been affecting the Xbox Series X, the Series S, the PS5, every graphics card, laptops, gaming PCs, pretty much every electronic now trickling down into PS4 territory. Because for the last year, it really hasn't affected the PS4. People have been buying and buying and buying them, but we haven't really had many shortages. And the same really goes for the Nintendo Switch. But now it's looking like things are going to get a lot tougher getting these old consoles. So if you're one of these people who's been waiting for a PS5 and you were thinking about getting a PS4 in the meantime, you might want to start looking because they're just going to get harder and harder to find. So a couple of videos ago, we talked about the new PS Plus game for August that was the headliner, and it was Hunter's Arena, which to be fair, did not look great, especially compared to Star Wars Squadrons and of course Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was a great PS Plus game. It especially looked kind of weak. And now we have the rest of the games for August. Now I'm just going to be real with you guys. This is probably the worst PS Plus launch lineup we've had in a while, but it's okay because the last few months have been great, and when you look at what Microsoft is giving for games with gold, even these games look really good. So in addition to Hunter's Arena, you're also getting Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville, which I've actually heard is a pretty good competitive shooter. And on top of that, you're getting the excellent, amazing, highest reviewed sports game of all time, Tennis World Tour 2. That's what it's called. It's on PS4 and PS5. So yeah, those will be available at the beginning of August, and make sure you just at least add them to your account, because we don't know, World Tennis Tour 2 could get an amazing PS5 upgrade or something like that adds guns into tennis, and you could really want to play it but not want to spend what, like 30 or 40 bucks on it, and then you'll be like, oh, I added it to my PS Plus account like a year ago. I'm so smart, I listened to Jimmy. And on top of that, you can still also get the July games right now, so make sure you add Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and A Plague Tale Innocence to your account. A Plague Tale Innocence is like a B-level game that got a bunch of upgrades that made it an A-level game. It's like a story-driven third-person game where you're doing stealth, you're avoiding enemies, there's a giant horde of rats that can kill you in 1 second, and it's very scary. It also got a PS5 patch that makes it so you can feel the little rats running around your controller, and it's absolutely disgusting. So if you want a cool horror game where you lead your little brother through France where knights can cut your head off and stuff, and also rats can kill you, I highly recommend A Plague Tale Innocence to ruin your weekend. Also, there are parts in A Plague Tale where you have a slingshot and you can kill guys with it, and it's brutal, man. Like, I did not know how viable of a weapon a slingshot was until I played this game. I'd say the biggest challenge for Sony this generation is finding a middle ground between having extremely high quality games and figuring out a way to make PlayStation Plus a viable competitor to Game Pass. We know that their strategy going forward is to really double down on exclusive games to the point where they're giving all of their studios a ton of money to make sure that they can make 2 games at once, which is crazy and in my opinion, really smart. And it seems like the guy who had Jim Ryan's job before Jim Ryan, whose name is Sean Layden, agrees, which is actually, again, kind of surprising. He did an interview with GameIndustry.biz, and basically what he said in it is he doesn't really understand the philosophy of Game Pass. So right now, if you have a $120 million game and you're trying to recoup your budget on that game at subscriptions for $9.99 a month, you need about 500 million consoles in the wild. There just aren't that many consoles out there right now. There's only about 240 million that can possibly play most of these Game Pass games. So there's really no way to make money back on something like, I don't know, Halo Infinite. The way the math shakes out for him is that at the price point of $9.99 a month, they need to have over 500 million subscribers to recoup the budget of a $120 million game. But right now, there are only 250 million consoles in general in the wild, so if every single person who had a game console was able to subscribe to Game Pass on it, that would only recoup about half the budget of a $120 million game. And when you think about it like that, it's really easy to see why Microsoft is okay to throw money at Game Pass and lose money on it, while Sony is a lot more hesitant. Microsoft does not have anywhere near the caliber of first-party games that Sony does. They have a lot of really good games under their first-party umbrella, but their mainstays are games like Forza, Halo, Gears of War, stuff that really hasn't been innovated on in a really long time. And while it still drives up numbers, they're not really coming out at the same frequency or quality bar that's been set by Sony. Sony, on the other hand, has so many AAA blockbusters that are actually really good that it's kind of hard to keep track of them all. You've got Demon's Souls, you've got Bloodborne, you've got The Last of Us, you've got Days Gone, you've got Horizon, tons and tons and tons of IP that people really genuinely love. And Microsoft, as many games as they have on Game Pass, as many great AA and great indie games that they're getting for that service, is nowhere near having something like that. And that's what's really important here. And again, to be fair to Microsoft, they can afford to lose money on something like Halo Infinite. And I guarantee you, they are losing money on Halo Infinite, because I said this in a video recently and a lot of people came after me in the comments because if you just Google it, it says that Sony's worth 2.2 trillion yen and Microsoft is worth around $2 trillion. If you do the math there and convert 2.2 trillion yen to dollars, it basically comes out to around $22 billion, which again is nowhere near the $2 trillion that Microsoft has. And guys, $22 billion is not something to laugh at. It's not a criticism at all. It just explains why Microsoft can go out and buy Bethesda for what, $7 billion and lose that money on Game Pass and be totally okay. They have other stuff going on. They've got Windows, they've got that Azure cloud stuff that they use that Sony actually has a partnership with them to use for their games. Microsoft is pulling in so much money from other places that they can afford to take a huge loss on a $120 million game like Gears of War 5 or Halo Infinite. Sony just just simply cannot afford to do that with stuff that they're producing. And that's good for us because it means they're probably not going to have a Game Pass competitor that's just Game Pass on Sony. They're going to have to come up with something like Disney Plus Premier Access, where I don't know, they give you their AA games like, I guess Returnal, it's really not a AA game, or like Knack or something like that. That might be included with the service, but then maybe you have to pay $30 for something like The Last of Us Part 2, which again would be a steep discount from paying full price if you're not a subscriber to the service. Either way, that helps us out as consumers a lot because anyone who buys a PlayStation 5, I guarantee you probably has PlayStation Plus already, so the more benefits they have to add on to that service to make it compete with Microsoft's Game Pass, the better things are for us. It's good that they can't afford to be like Microsoft. So yeah guys, that's all the PlayStation news I have for you today. Make sure you let me know what you think of all of it down in the comments below, and if you want to stay PS ready, subscribe and set your notifications to all. As always guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.